Well, good morning. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. And to first, let me thank the president of the American Bar Association. My wife and my firstborn daughter are both attorneys, so I can't win any debates at home. So I'm happy to be here. I want to thank you for co-sponsoring this and the MacArthur Foundation for all of its great work, but especially for its continued focus in an area in which often others turn their attention away from. Criminal justice and juvenile justice in particular have been mainstays of the Foundation's work over many years, and I want to thank you for all that you're doing. And this particular effort, Owen and I had dinner with a number of others last night, and in Francis, we enjoyed a great meal, but learning more about Owen's work in building this network and how impressive indeed it is, mainly because you have such a focus on making sure that Philadelphia is well represented. You know, so from Stephen to you have Penn and Temple and and everybody in between well represented. So politics is all local at the end of the day. So, but no, seriously, let me make a few important comments about the subject at hand. So at the federal level, I have been engaged for a number of years successfully in creating a collaboration at the federal level of all of the federal agencies, including the Department of Justice, in an effort to think through a set of investments that we can make as a nation, the first of which is the brain mapping initiative that the President laid out in the State of the Union and more fully in the East Room at the White House a few weeks ago. But a whole set of investments, whether in the imaging or diagnostic areas, and that can help us exploit the science in ways that can be beneficial to our ongoing work towards a more perfect union. So this collaboration, which has been going on since December of 11, has produced some remarkable results. The final report will be available for the public in June. But we are committed in a range of areas, both in disease and disorders, and also in terms of traumatic brain injuries, and to see how the federal government can make this, these investments really pay off over the long term. But at this particular conference, as you look at the intertwined nature of the law in neuroscience, there's so many issues that are present, and that's why the Department of Justice's involvement was very important. Now, I'm the senior appropriator for all of our science agencies and also for the Justice Department, so I have a unique ability to get people to come together and play well in this effort to find where we can do some good. We have announced, the Republican chairman and myself, that we're also getting ready to launch in this year's bill a national Blue Ribbon Commission on prison reform. This notion that we're going to incarcerate ourselves out of these challenges is just foolhardy. We can't afford it, and we're going to have to make some different decisions. And the more that those decisions can be informed by science and evidence-based, the better off we are. Now, this is not going to be a panacea, and it's not going to happen overnight, but the work that has been done has brought some attention to some of the issues that are important for us to consider. And at every spectrum of the process in the criminal justice system, we know that neural related issues play a part in memory and eyewitness accounts and intent, but also in the formulations of the impression of decision makers in terms of what should happen in terms of diversion from the system and what the potential for these young people may be, in terms of different routes that can be pursued. So there's a lot to be learned through your efforts. And my staff and I are committed to continuing this work over the long term. And I know we're going to hear a lot today about, what imaging tools can do and what the various parts of some of the emerging science suggests at the moment. But I think that we know all too well that we're really just at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so much more to learn. And with our 3 pounds in between our ears, they have tens of billions of neurons and trillions of interconnections going on. It's God must have had a real sense of humor when this was put together. We are finally starting to understand now that even at our lightest moments, this is a serious business. And the fact that we can invest as a country, $8 billion in the James Webb Telescope to see into the heavens is wonderful. But we need better imaging tools to understand the inner workings of our own brains. And that's an investment that we have not yet stepped up fully to embrace. And so what I'm committed to doing is getting the federal government and our science investments to be more relevant to everyday life here on Earth. That is not to say that I'm not for big science, and I'm also for big data. I mean, I think the work that's being done in Harris County, looking at the criminal records and looking at what we can discern from that is as important as a big data project as any other in our country. And so we need to make science relevant so that we can earn the support of the public in terms of their willingness to invest more in science. And there's no more important an area in science than neuroscience. So I'm happy to be here this morning, and I'm inspired that the work that you have been engaged in and you will continue to be engaged in will help inform some of the work of me and my colleagues in Washington. And so you begin this morning an effort that I think will be, as Lori suggested, a watershed moment. And it will require us, however, not just to do the thinking, but we also have to do the work. Nehemiah said we have to have a mind to work in order to rebuild the city. Thank you.